welcome. I think we are live. Welcome to the Prepared Homestead live stream for Saturday night. Yeah, we didn't get one last week because, well, it was busy last week. The next day on a Sunday we had our big Thanksgiving, and so it was just too much to try to squeeze in a live stream. So back here, and welcome all to the show. Seeing all of you folks already chiming in from all over the country. Welcome everyone. Thanks for stopping in. And my wife is not on again. She's kind of getting better, but still struggling with this. We still don't know. We still don't know what's going on, but she is in the chat tonight. I just saw her pop up, so you can say hi to her in the chat. But she's still dealing with the hives and everything. So she's taking another night off, and then we're hoping and praying that this is about run its course. We don't know anything else really about what's going on, but we're hopeful and praying that this is just about done for her. So we've got people from Georgia and Canada and Florida and Texas and Alabama, Arkansas, Ohio. Let's see, all over Arizona, Ozarks, Missouri, Calgary, all the way up, and then Canada. Welcome all to the show tonight. Do have a weekly news recap that we'll get to here in just a moment. It's been a busy, crazy week, just trying to hit some of the highlights of stuff going on. So we've got 3 pages of that. It's raining outside, although it's not too bad. Sometimes the rain affects the internet here. So if I start having problems, it slows down and buffering. That could be why, but it's not raining real hard. It's just a little bit of a drizzle. We got Willis, Texas, over in the Rumble chat, Iowa, and a few others. Welcome all, and thank you all for stopping by. How's everyone going tonight? I mean, several people already are saying they know the thing. So how's everyone's week been? Recuperating from the turkey overload. A lot of you, I would suspect, are you done with turkey? Did you finally get it all done and out of your system, and kind of moving on to other things? Just curious. It's been a good week, but very busy here. We've had rain the last couple of days, which is of course good because it's been dry for a while. And I had a little excitement this week. Some of you know about it because I mentioned it in a video. I participated in an emergency at a farm store. So that was a little on the crazy side. It's been a while. Thank you, Moto Tweezy. Thank you for that. I'm a former first responder, and I hadn't actually been involved in an emergency medical situation in a while. So, but I have been keeping up on my training for the most part, but that was different, and someone that I knew, and the young lady, another case, no one really knows exactly what's going on. I talked to the uncle and the father-in-law yesterday of the young lady. If you watched the video, she's 33 years old, and she's the wife of the guy that owns the little farm store I go to, and I just happened to be there, and she collapsed on the floor. And at that moment, we weren't sure if she was having a heart attack or seizure. It kind of looked like both, and actually it was. She had a heart attack that started causing seizures, and they've run some tests, and they're really not sure what was going on, but they did send her home yesterday afternoon, and she's being monitored. And they said they'll get some information back from the test, hopefully in the next few days. She does have a congenital heart condition, and she has had heart surgery and things. Even at 33, she was born, this way with a heart condition. So they're you know, assuming it's something like that, but they haven't been able to pinpoint exactly what's going on. So certainly remember her in your prayers, because they're really good family around here. And she, like I said, she's 33, her husband's in his mid-30s, and they have 3 little children. So um anyways, that was part of my week. Um so there. All right. What else as I'm blabbing on? Forest Ghost Prepper watching from the fireside from a chilly Ozark evening. Yeah, that would be good. It's this room, this building that I'm in, it's a little shed, you know, one of them little portable buildings, and it does have heat in it, but it's not, I, I don't have wood heat in here because I'm not in here that often. You know, if I was in here often, wood heat would make sense, but with wood heat, you don't get the instant results, you know. So I may be in here for an hour or two here and there, and so I have a diesel heater in here, which works really well, except it makes a noise. It's got that ticking and humming noise, and so I turn it off when I do these live streams. So it's a little chilly in here, not freezing cold, but a little chilly. Let's see, what are we hearing in the chat? Some pure bloods talking. Lantern of Liberty's in the chat. Let's see. Talking about my wife with her histamine response hives that we're still really don't know why it's happening, what's going on, but she's just we're taking it day by day. Let's see. All right. I'm going to go ahead and run through the weekly news recap for those of you that are new to this. I keep a tally. Whoops, sorry about hitting the mic. I keep a tally of news that happens throughout the week. Of course, it's not everything, but I try to find things that are somewhat pertinent to the New World Order, right? And yes, I see you, Warrior Class, and the folks over there. Tenacious Tortoise is in Rumble, several others. So anyway, so I keep the news recap for the week, and then we go through them today, tonight, and see what's happening. So let's get that started. All right, we have 46 items on the weekly news recap tonight. So this is from Saturday to Saturday. Let's get into it. The New York Times reports that at least 24,000 illegal Chinese citizens were encountered at the southern border this year. 24,000. And those are the ones encountered, and those are the ones at the southern border. There's reports that there's been a lot more come through the northern border or through other means, ships, things like that. So it's a pretty good size number there. Israeli-linked tanker was seized off the coast of Yemen. Yemen militias fired 2 ballistic missiles at U.S. Navy ships. Number 4, former White House doctor says Biden's cognitive decline is putting the United States at great risk. That's a big surprise there, isn't it? The World Health Organization calls on China to reinstate social distancing and mask mandates due to the rise in the mystery pneumonia outbreak. American M1A1 Abrams tanks are now on the battlefield in Ukraine. Now, these are the early ones. These do not have the depleted uranium armor, but they are the M1 Abrams tanks. The United Kingdom records its first human case of new swine flu variant. Remember the old swine flu from several years back? A new variant apparently is out. According to Bloomberg, average grocery prices are up 25%. Now, that's interesting because according to the government, the inflation is only at like 3.2%, which is ridiculous for a couple of reasons. Number one, always remember this, that when they say inflation is 3.2%, it's 3.2% over what it was this time last year, for its year over year. So if this time last year inflation was like 8%, and now it's up 3.2%. Well, what's 8 plus 3.2? Okay. And then if last year inflation was up 5-6% over the previous year, you add all of those up, and that's where you get inflation over from, say, 2020, because that's, that was kind of the last year that things were kind of somewhat normal economically, financially. And if you look at numbers that way, you're definitely in the double digits, and you're probably well over 20% inflation, 20 to 30% inflation over 2020 from now since 2020. So, anyways, 64 U.S. bank branches filed to close this past week. New home sales fell 5.6%, which is pretty significant. Over 23 million illegals. Oh, no, sorry, not necessarily illegals. I misspoke. Over 23 million immigrants. And this study did not separate whether they're legal or illegal. Okay. So they're just immigrants. They probably mostly legal, but who knows? Anyways, 23 million immigrants will be eligible to vote in the 2024 election. I put 2023 down here, but it's 2024, next year's election. So 23 million immigrants will be able to vote in next year's big election. A municipal water in Pennsylvania was hacked by Iranian-backed cyber group. A train with hundreds of migrants on it in Mexico was filmed headed to the border. Showed you that one. There's also been lots of other videos this past week. There are almost every day of illegals, coming to the border, migrant caravans and stuff. A 6.5 earthquake happened in Papua New Guinea. The United States debt is now over 33.8 trillion. It's actually close to 33.9 trillion. Now, the reason why I say that is we just crossed 33 trillion about 3 months ago. So we've gone from 33 trillion to 33 point almost 9 trillion in just 3 months in debt. Like we've almost gone in debt $1 trillion in about 3 months. That's insane, folks. It's crazy. New home prices plunged the largest amount in history. The absolute biggest amount percentage-wise in history. The United Nations calls on Americans to reduce meat consumption. Yeah, I'll get on that. Not. Makes me want to have a big steak for dinner. I'm in support of that. Let's see. Large volcanic eruption on Japan's Iwo Jima Island. Finland closes border with Russia. Completely closes the entire border with Russia. The wife of Ukraine's spy chief was poisoned by suspected Russian operative. Multiple solar flares caused warnings from NASA on incoming geomagnetic storms, which we've had yesterday and today, and very possibly will continue to have this level of solar activity over the next few days. Americans need an extra, now get this, sit back in your seat for just a moment and listen to this. Americans now need an extra $11,400 more in yearly income to maintain their level of living. So whatever level of living you were at last year, this year you need an extra $11,400 in income. Now, some of you may be making that much more a year, but I would guess that the vast majority of you are probably have not had a pay increase this year of $11,400. $11,400 that you need to make more this year just to maintain the level of living, the standard of living that you were at last year. Yeah, that's because we have the strongest economy and Bidenomics works, right? Japan's space agency was hacked this past week. A United States Navy ship shoots down Iranian drones launched from Yemen. The UAE and China have agreed upon a $4.9 billion currency swap. Large-scale pro-Palestinian protests break out at the annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony at Rockefeller Plaza. The Texas governor, Abbott, announces that they are now busing 70,000 illegals out of the state of Texas. 70,000 illegals that they're gonna bus out and dump off in several other cities around the country. The United Nations claims that 2023 was the hottest year on record. 2023 was the hottest year on record. And then, of course, this week we have that big global warming conference thing in the Middle East that everyone, all these elites are flying their private jets over there to, except I saw that in Germany that they weren't able to fly there because they're having such a record-breaking snowstorm in Germany. So I guess global warming hasn't hit Germany yet. The United States banks as a total are facing $685 billion in unrealized losses so far this year. That's up into the third quarter. This doesn't include fourth quarter numbers. So in the first 3 quarters of this year, United States banks are facing $685 billion in unrealized losses. The price of rice hits a 15-year high. 15-year high. Now, why this is important is because 20%, now listen to this, most of you don't know this, many may not anyways, 20% of the world's calorie intake, so if you take the entire planet of people and all of the calories that they take in to stay alive, to eat, 20% of that is rice. Yes, rice. So when we start seeing rice prices go up and the availability of rice go down, that is very serious when it comes to global famines. In fact, this past week, there was an article saying that it's worse, that this is worse than the Arab Spring from, 15, 18 years ago. OPEC plus, which OPEC plus Russia is what that means, has agreed to cut an additional 1 million barrels a day in oil production. So we are cutting an additional million barrels a day in oil, is what they're saying. A mysterious pneumonia outbreak in Ohio, similar to China, has caused 142 cases in children. 74 attacks have occurred on U.S. troops in the Middle East since October 17th. The ceasefire ended in Gaza as Hamas violates agreement. Israel states that the campaign against Hamas could last over a year. Massachusetts is the second state to record an outbreak of the mysterious pneumonia similar to the one in China. The United States imposes travel bans on Israelis engaged in violence. And the British Health Ministry is on high alert due to mysterious pneumonia outbreaks. Gold prices break an all-time high this week. Closed this week at $2,091. So a lot of you folks kind of know what that means, that we could be seeing some real upset over the coming weeks. There was a guy on Twitter yesterday, and I looked him up, and he doesn't look to be a big somebody, but he does a lot of economy type stuff, posts and analysts on Twitter online. And anyways, he is predicting that the U.S. dollar, that the Fed will basically go bankrupt and the U.S. dollar will collapse by the end of the year because of this. Now, that may seem a little extreme, but it may not be as extreme as some people think. I'm not saying that's going to happen before the end of the year, but this guy was making a pretty good case based on numbers that it's not that far off. Putin orders Russian armed forces to increase its numbers by 170,000 troops. A 7.6 earthquake hits the Philippines. That's pretty significant. A tsunami warning announced due to the earthquake. Japan orders the evacuation of thousands of residents along the coast due to the tsunami warning. A man at the Eiffel Tower attacks tourists with knife and hammer, yelling Allah Akbar, and killing one and injuring another. Another 6.4 earthquake strikes the Philippines. And last but not least, as of this afternoon, Bitcoin breaks $39,000 a coin. So yeah, there's your kind of overview of the week. I know that there's always a lot of other stuff going on, but at least you got kind of the rundown of what's going on. Have you seen reports about silver prices? I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. I mean, I've looked at silver prices and stuff, but someone asked in the chat, and I'm not exactly sure what you're referring to. is the cleanest dirty shirt. I don't see any way it could collapse, but I could say our economy could collapse. There's a lot of people that think that way also, that while the dollar is awful, there's no way it could collapse. I'm not saying that that's what I believe. I was just relaying what someone else said. Let's see here. EpiPens are easy to build. Yeah, James Weber is talking about EpiPens. EpiPens are great. Every prepper should have them, except they're really expensive. But you can get epinephrine usually pretty cheap, just the vial. And then I know that's not recommended. All these, it's not recommended. Well, it's not recommended because they want you to pay a couple of $100 for an EpiPen. Anyways, but I'm now medical professional, so don't listen to one thing that I say when it comes to medical health, anything. All right, just don't. Let's see. The end is near, says Called Out. Well, it's very possible and likely. James, a lot of people are saying they want to learn what James Weber was talking about on an EpiPen. So Constitutional Stacker says the dollar won't collapse, just decline. That does seem to be the most likely scenario in the current time period. And it does look like, the numbers already this week, the dollar has gone down some. The build kit, okay. Everyone's talking about the EpiPen. I don't want to get too much into that because it's YouTube. You can't talk about like health stuff and advice, and I can't talk about that. Constitutional Stacker says no, the end is not near. Well, we don't know if the end is near or not, but things are getting pretty shaky, that's for sure. But yes, people have been saying the end is near for forever. Let's see. Get closer to Father through Jesus Christ. I don't disagree with that at all. Brian says that EpiPens are okay after expiration date. They're like canned food. They're just less effective. Again, it's YouTube. I can't really tell you all of that stuff, but he's not wrong if you just go kind of do your own research. Let's move over here to the Rumble chat, see what's going on over here. Anything important? Let's see. Hello from Indiana. Hello from Michigan. New York Times lies. It's probably 10 times that number. Yeah, referring to that first thing of 24,000 Chinese have crossed the border. Yeah, it's probably 10 times that is what I would say. That's probably more likely. Someone asked what I think about the Jace case. That's where you can get the medicine. I'm not opposed to that. They have reached out to me probably 3 or 4 times wanting to do some kind of sponsorship or affiliate, and I have turned them down. It's not because I don't agree with it. It's just, it's pricey. I don't want to talk bad about it, because I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing to have. It is just a little pricey. Let's see here. Yeah, it's pricey. So it's one of those. There's a lot of things out there, and this is I'm I try to be very aware that because I'm one of them, that most of my listeners are not very wealthy. I understand that some of you are. There's nothing wrong with that, right? That some of you make a solid well into 6 figures, and you have more substantial disposable income. Others, just putting $20 aside in a month for preps is tight. I get that. So I try to balance it. I'm not telling you to, the only way for you to survive is go out and spend $2,000 on this item. Some of you could do that and not flinch, and that's okay. but others can't. So I don't want to make it seem like if you don't buy this thing, you're going to die, because that's not the case. For people that can afford the Jace Medical, I think it's a fine thing. I think also if you do some digging, and I'm not going to tell you how because this is YouTube, there are other ways to acquire some of those things. But for those of you that can afford it, definitely, I mean, it's not ridiculous. It's like $200 or $300. And for those of you that don't know what we're talking about, excuse me, almost went down the wrong side of my water. Is that it's this service focused towards preppers. You sign up online, and they assign you a doctor, and the doctor writes prescriptions for, I can't remember, 5 or 6 or something different antibiotics. And so you get those antibiotics, they send you those in a little case, and it tells you how to use them. And it's legal because they have doctors on staff that they're prescribing them to you, and so that you can have antibiotics stored away. So there's that, for those of you that don't know what we're talking about. Someone's talking about fish medicine stuff. Now, I mean, go look it up. Ranger J just randomly said Mexico, and I don't really know what he means by that, but you might go do some research in that area too. Oh, have to be careful about this. And if you don't like it that I have to be careful, that's why you should probably go sign up to Locals. In this video here on the live stream on YouTube, if you go down in the description, the very first link in the description is a link over to my Locals. And so I post completely separate content over on Locals. We usually try to do at least one live stream a week on Locals, and it is a completely free speech platform. I can say whatever I want. Not only is it free speech, but they actually encourage this kind of stuff. They're very, kind of conservative, right wing or company, and it's a really good company. It's a really good platform. So if you want to watch my content where I'm not censoring myself, which I made a video I think 2 days ago about this China cough stuff that's going around, and I gave suggestions and opinions on it. Someone asked, is Locals a date site? No, it's not. It's kind of like Patreon, if you're familiar with Patreon. So it's a membership service where you can go watch videos and stuff. But with Patreon, they censor you too. I had 2 videos in the past 2 weeks, old videos that I had put on Patreon like 2 or 3 years ago, that I got removed and got a warning. So even with Patreon, you're not safe. These content creators that are solely using Patreon, it's not any more free speech than here on YouTube. And so I've switched all that to Locals. So you can go to the Locals. Like I said, there's a link in the description down below, or you can just go to locals.com and then search for the Prepared Homestead. It's $3 a month, and it's just a lot better. Do I still have Mighty Networks? Yes, I still have Mighty Networks, but that's not really something that I use to produce content. So for those of you that don't know what he's talking about, yeah, Patreon censoring. Yeah, they did. They didn't punish me, but I got a warning for 2 videos. One was 2 years old, one was like 2.5 years old on Patreon. Anyways, so someone asked about Mighty Networks. Yes, that is tphnetwork.com. If you want to go to that, tphnetwork.com, and that's a site that my wife and I own, basically just for you folks. It's just a social media site. It functions very similar to Facebook, but we own it. We own the content. We own the data. And it's a free speech platform. There's little subgroups in there. There's like 8,000, 9,000 people on there. And you can set up subgroups, or you can meet other people, post things, whatever. tphnetwork.com. It's a kind of I guess you could call it a public service that my wife and I don't get on there that often, mostly because I'm busy and I just don't have time to, but every once in a while I do. So, anyways, that's the rundown of what's kind of going on. Let me look at the chats now. Yeah, someone over on Rumble saying, "Glad I'm on Rumble." I am on Rumble too. And everything that I post on YouTube is mirrored on Rumble. So, if you don't want to watch me on YouTube anymore and you just want to watch me on Rumble, you can see the exact same content. I have them connected, so my videos that I post on YouTube also show up on Rumble. So you can do that there. And it's because there's some of you, and I don't blame you at all. There's some of you that are like, I'm completely done with YouTube. I will never, ever, ever give them a penny of my money. Because here's the thing, even you're, I mean, probably 99% of you are not paying to be on YouTube. YouTube does have a paid service, but most of you probably aren't doing it. Even though you're watching videos for free, you kind of still are. You're watching the commercials, the ads that they put out, and that in a sense is kind of your way of paying for that. And so you're supporting YouTube. And a lot of people have said, forget it, I'm moving over to Rumble. And I know that Rumble is not perfect. I know that Rumble is not perfect. Um, but YouTube at one point wasn't perfect, and it's only become so much better because there's so many more people and there's so much more money being dumped to it. But for a free speech platform that is an alternative to YouTube, Rumble is by far the best. And I don't see anything wrong with that. North Song asked if there's a way to contact me via email. Yes, it is down in the description below, but I'll be nice and I'll go ahead and type. Oops, if I can type, I'll give it into the comments. Is that right? All right. I just put my email in the comments. All right. Oh, my wife already typed it. I just missed it. The thing is moving. If I turn away and I look back and everything. Rumble people say they don't get paid, but free speech is the utmost. Rumble isn't paying a lot. Well, I mean, the I think like the price per view or whatever you break it down, um, it's someone says TPH network is offline. I usually get a notification, so if that's correct, I will. I don't know. I don't know anything about that, but I can look while we're talking. My slow internet here. Let's see. I don't know. I'll have to look. I can't do it while I'm doing this. Anyways, um, so I mean, it looks like it's working on my end. So I don't know. Anyways, with Rumble, they pay, from what I understand, pretty comparable to YouTube. It's just you're not getting the views, and they do this weird thing, and I haven't quite understood it. With Rumble, it'll have like your actual views for the month because you're getting paid by how many views, and then it'll have the views that qualify for getting paid. And I don't understand. I've never been able to figure that out. And so, for the whole month, I may have 10,000, 20,000, 50,000 views for the month. And then it'll say the views that count as to get paid, it may only be like 2,000. So it's a significant difference. Yeah, raw and unique. There's a big difference there. So, um, but if you want to get out information, and free speech and that kind of stuff, then that's the best. That's the one of the better ways to do that, because how am I still on YouTube? Well, I have been kicked off of YouTube several times. I've been suspended. I was suspended 3 times in 1 year, and they usually get me about this time of the year. So I'm kind of wondering when that'll happen. But I've been suspended. I was suspended 3 times in a 12-month period. So there. Yeah. In fact, I was suspended when I switched over to 100,000 subscribers. And YouTube has this thing. You've ever seen the videos, YouTubers, and they'll have a plaque in the back, a little YouTube plaque. You get those for like 100,000 and like 250,000. I don't remember all the different levels. But if you're under a suspension or under some kind of probation because of being suspended and you cross 100,000, then you don't qualify. Basically, your account has to be in good standing. So, yeah, I was suspended when I switched over, and so I don't get one of those cool plaques from YouTube. Someone here said Dave Hodges. I did see that, and I reached out to him, and he hasn't contacted me. I don't know him personally, but Dave Hodges, the Common Sense Show, that guy's been around for years and years. And from what I understand, he wasn't even didn't even have any strikes against his account. They just up and banned him. He completely removed his entire channel and all content. And then there was another guy. I can't remember. Was it not Risky Krisky, someone else, and they demonetized his account. They completely demonetized his channel. So definitely it's on the move. And I suspect the closer we get to the election, we are going to see more and more censorship, is what I suspect. That's just my opinion. So yeah, I don't really know the whole story with Dave Hodges. I saw another video, someone talking about it, and I went, and sure enough, his entire content. Yeah, Risky Krisky suspended, and there was another one, I think Pacific Northwest Gorilla or something like that. They suspended, or they completely demonetized his whole channel. But so yeah, it's happening more and more, I believe. So apparently bacon is the hot topic tonight. I see that there's a lot of people talking about all the different kinds of bacon that they like. Seems like that's kind of a weekly thing around here. I don't know. I don't have a problem with it. I really don't. Let's see here. Brian, what did I? Iranians love bacon. So before anyone gets too going or whatever here in the comments, because I'm sitting here looking at the comments. A lot of people are talking about bacon, it's joking and stuff. And then some people are like, oh, we don't eat bacon. We don't. Bacon is not a type of meat. Bacon is a way to preserve meat, and you can make lamb bacon, you can make beef bacon, you can make turkey bacon. Bacon is not based on the animal it comes from. It's a way to preserve the meat. And so there's no reason to get too we eat turkey and beef bacon here. Someone says turkey bacon is abomination. Generally speaking, that I would agree with that, but I have, and we occasionally get some that we've had some that's actually pretty good. Some pretty good um, turkey bacon. So stick to my butter cookies. Don't even talk to me about butter cookies. That's like my favorite thing ever. and I'm not supposed to be eating those on my diet to keep my pretty girlish figure. Do you collect nuts, hickory nuts, and acorns? Yes, and I haven't collected any this year, but I do often, walnuts, hickory nuts, acorns. We have a lot of acorns on our property and walnuts, not too many acorns, so most usually I don't worry about the hickory nuts because there's not enough on our property, but there are a lot around, just not on our property too much. Ranger J says Iron Survival. So yeah, I want to mention that. Go to ironsurvival.com if you want some great online tactical defense training. And if you're here in Southwest Missouri, especially near the West Plains area, reach out to ironsurvival.com, and they do in-person training every month. Excellent, high quality, very, very affordable. Very affordable. I mean, you couldn't take your family to McDonald's cheaper than what you'd pay for the training. So definitely go to ironsurvival.com. And the guy that runs it, he is just an awesome guy. He is actually really an awesome guy. It just really is. So really above board. So you can go to ironsurvival.com and you can find some stuff there. Like I said, you can do online stuff. He has online courses, and I've signed up to several of them. Like he's got a one person CQB, he's got home defense, and of course these aren't in-person training, but it's a whole course. It's not just like watching a YouTube video. It's a whole course that you take. You test on it, online, and so you're learning. Is it as good as doing physical in-person training? Of course not. No one would even begin to say that, but it's certainly better than nothing. And you can learn the basics, and then go out and try on your own, and maybe you also be able to have the opportunity to train in person with someone that knows what they're doing, and you already have the foundation. And all of his stuff, well, he's former special operations guy in the military, but all of his stuff, whether he's written it or others on his team, they're all various areas of special operations. So it's really good stuff. Let's see. My wife says she's making me some keto butter cookies. If you're making them right now, we're shutting down this live stream. If you're in there making me some keto butter cookies while I'm doing this, these people, they're just gonna have to wait, and we're gonna have to shut this live stream down. No offense. I don't know why. I like just a plain simple, if it comes to a cookie, I just like a plain simple, like a sugar cookie or a ginger snap or a butter cookie. I'm not into all the fancy added stuff, bunch of stuff added into the cookies. I just like a plain simple cookie. Oh, my wife says she can't moderate and bake at the same time. So apparently she's not making them in this moment. Now I'm really sad. Ranger J says that the Iron Survival classes are like $50, yeah, for the weekend. So the guy that's running Iron Survival, it's not Ranger J, but Ranger J, I know him, and he's gone to some of the Iron Survival training. When I've talked to the guy that runs Iron Survival, and I know him personally, he knows that he could charge a lot more for his training. But his goal is he's doing it as a service. He's very passionate about folks like you getting prepared. Okay. We not just like stacking your beans and stuff, but learning how to physically take care of yourself, learning how to physically defend yourself. No, he's not down there training you to be some Green Beret. He's trying to take regular people and teach them basics, moderate, intermediate, and even advanced stuff on how to defend and take care of yourself. And he's very, very passionate about it. And so he's priced it in a way that he makes a little bit of money, not a lot. A lot of these classes, if you look online, I mean, some of these guys are charging, $1,000 or more, at least hundreds of dollars. And his classes, his in-person classes, usually are around $50 per class. So He's not making a huge amount of money, but he's doing it almost like as a charity, like as a service for people. So if you are able to take any of his classes, I would certainly attempt to do so. Jason Casper, man, brother, thank you for all that. Yeah, the bacon talk. People are they think they're just being mostly silly. Some people, of course, eat pork bacon, others don't, and so they're talking back and forth of all the different ways to eat bacon. So I don't know. I have no idea what's going on. Someone says bacon is life, but thank you, Jason. Tenacious Tortoise is asking what flour my wife uses for the cookies. So I don't know. Sometimes she uses almond flour, but I don't know exactly what she's going to use in those. Yeah, Mickey McMurphy, you're kind of getting on the edge of getting a timeout. So those of you that are, I would just letting you know, I'm just giving you a warning. You're kind of on the edge. So someone asked, should I get an SKS? If you can get an SKS for a reasonable price, it's always good to get an SKS. I don't beat me up. I like SKSs. And back when they were cheap, I was advocating people to buy several of them and have them tucked away in case the doo-doo hits the fan and you have extra people that you need to arm. SKSs was the way to do it. Unfortunately, now they're stinking expensive. I can remember buying SKSs for easily under $100. $80, $100, $120 was normal for an SKS, and now, I mean, $700, $800, $900 for an SKS is just insane. But if you can get a good deal on an SKS, I preferred the Yugoslavian ones myself, but there are others that are really good. But SKSs are great. They really are. Don't knock an SKS. Yeah, even the original OSOK says they're even great for your primary. They are. Um, don't I carry my primary weapon is an AR. All right. But I'm not one of these die-hard ARs is the only, battle rifle, primary rifle that you can use. AKs, SKSs, if you can handle the extra weight and recoil, something like a CENTME or a G3 or other, 308 rounds are great. I'm not one of these that's, the only thing that you can shoot is a AR and the only pistol you can carry is a Glock. That's just not me. There are definitely some other things out there that you can use. That's the thing. Someone says about Palmetto. That's the thing though now is that people used to, when I was younger, things like SKSs and stuff were what people used because they were so cheap. And AR-15s were, 15, 20 years ago, AR-15s, you couldn't touch one for under $800, $900. They were just out of reach. I can remember in my 20s that really very few people had AR-15s. It was before they become really, really popularized. But now with companies like Palmetto and stuff, I mean, you can buy a complete AR-15 for like $400, $450. And sometimes when they're on sale, you can build one for less than $400. And it's crazy to me now that you can get a brand new AR-15 for the same or even less than a surplus SKS. That's crazy. That's just crazy to me. Yeah, I mean, occasionally still, well, before the Israel-Gaza thing, before the Israel-Hamas thing, you could, when they were on sale, AR-15s on to like build it, to buy the stuff, to buy the build kits and build them yourself. I was seeing AR-15s on Palmetto State Armory for like $350, $360. So we're talking sub $400 to get a pretty good AR-15. That's crazy. Like I said, that you can get that cheaper than an SKS, and certainly cheaper than an AK. Right now, most of the AKs I've seen, even the Palmetto AKs, I think are $800 or $900 or something. So, I mean, it makes sense right now. If you're starting off, if you have a really low budget, it makes sense to go with an AR. They are, still the most modular weapon out there. They're the most universal weapon in the United States. You're gonna. It used to be, when there was all this Russian surplus ammo, AK and SKS rounds was the cheapest. Now, the 223 5.56 is the cheapest rifle round that you can find, and it's very easy and pretty cheap to get mags and lights and everything else for them. So it does make sense right now, especially for the beginner, and for those that don't have a lot of money. An AR-15 does just make sense. Well, it looks like we've moved on to monk fruit and sweeteners. Monk fruit is a good sweetener. A lot of those alternative sweeteners, the natural alternative sweeteners, are not great. I don't like stevia. I just don't like stevia at all. But monk fruit is pretty good. That's a pretty good natural food sweetener that doesn't have the, I can't think of it right now, that it doesn't affect your blood sugar and stuff. Let's see here. Yeah, web gear. Yeah, gear is easier with the AR-15 platform. Someone says they like the L1A1 FAL. Again, great rifle, but much more pricier than what you'll pay for an AR-15. So I think for most people, the entry, which is crazy. For those of you that are my age and older and that you've been in, a gun enthusiast for a long time, I'm pretty sure you'll remember that there was a time that the AR-15 was not considered an entry-level rifle. There was such a gluttony of surplus rifles out there that were so much cheaper, and now you cannot get really any kind of battle type rifle probably less than an AR-15, especially new. There may be a few small examples, but not too many. Maple syrup. Um, now we're on to sweeteners and stuff. Maple syrup is a good. I like maple syrup. I don't eat a lot of maple syrup because I try to do the low carb thing. Mini 14s are excellent. Yes. If they use the same mags as the AR-15, they would be a nearly perfect, a nearly perfect rifle. Mosin Nagant. Hey, there's another one. That's a bolt action rifle. That's another rifle that if you could buy a bunch of them cheap like you used to be able to, and the society collapsed and all your neighbors come to your house and they're like, what are we going to do? We got to defend ourselves. Here, start passing out cheap rifles. Mosin Nagants, I know they're bolt action, but they do an excellent job, and I have had several and some taken out some pretty long range targets at that with those things. What about a 223? Well, that's what we've been talking about with the AR-15, which is, your 223 5.56. The 223 Wild is becoming, or Wiley, yeah, whatever it is becoming popular because it's more accurate and you can still shoot the 5.56. So, but well, 5.56 is not 223 and vice versa, but they are usually, most rifles today are interchangeable. Most all modern rifles will shoot either or. I know that's not 100% true, but most rifles today are chambered in 5.56 and you can shoot both. I mean, most of your, AR-15 platforms. I'm not really sure of any anymore that are only 223 rifles. Um, so so I mean, you should probably still check, but um, yeah, the best cheap AR-15 is Palmetto State. There's a few others that are trying to be really competitive with them, but I still think their quality. That's the big thing, and they have improved their quality. In the beginning, they weren't the best quality by far, and they're still not the very best. But if you look at current production, Palmetto State Armory rifles, and you compare them, they do really, really well. So if you're looking for a really budget AR-15 that is also um, really good quality, you can't beat a Palmetto State Armory. And I think also I like them because of kind of their business model. Their business model is not to make a lot of profit off of each rifle. Their business model is to get a rifle in the hands of as many Americans as they can. And so they sell them cheap like that, as cheap as they can. And so they're, for the average, beginner to average kind of shooter, an AR-15 is going to be definitely adequate. Definitely adequate. If you're doing more stuff than the average shooter, then maybe you want to upgrade. But for the average entry level person that's buying a rifle, your Palmetto State Armory is certainly going to be adequate. And I mean, that's what I shoot, and um I'm not gentle. I may have certain firearms that I want to make keep nice and pretty, but my AR-15, the what I use for an EDC for duty type of weapon, whether it's the pistol that I have on me or the rifle that I would carry into battle, I am not gentle on those at all. I don't purposely beat them up, but um, I want them to feel a little rough and abuse, because when it comes to the time of actually needing them in battle, you're not going to be gentle on them. And so, my Palmetto, my PSA AR-15 has been, not taken care of gently, and it does great. Never ever ever had a malfunction. So, what pistol do I carry? Well, my favorite, but it's the bigger, so it's a little bit bigger, is a Canic, and it's kind of the full size duty pistol. Um, and so I carry that more in the wintertime because it's full size and you can, handle it a little bit more. But when I'm not carrying that, or when I want to go lighter or a little bit more concealable, it's typically just the old Glock 19, a Gen 4 Glock 19. Nothing fancy, no optics, no lights, just a plain Jane old Glock 19. Because I've been shooting Glocks for 25 years, and it's just like breathing to me shooting a Glock. Someone lost a lot and is trying over. They want a good cheap gun to starters. So that my wife is asking this. So yeah, for just a cheap battle rifle, again, a Palmetto State Armory, AR-15s, you're not going to get much cheaper than that. If you're trying to find something that's under the $300 to $400 range, because that's where you can get one of their rifles, is in that $300 to $400 range, especially if they're on sale. Um, Anything cheaper than that, you're really getting into your like pistol caliber carbines and your 22s, and I'm not a big fan of those that much. I'm okay with a pistol caliber carbine for specific scenarios, but I wouldn't personally depend upon that as like the main battle rifle type of situation. I would, pistol caliber carbines, if you can get them and they're small and compact, folding up, that kind of stuff for certain circumstances, they're fine for that. But I wouldn't have that as my main rifle. So it's hard to go cheaper and still have a pretty good quality than a Palmetto State Armory rifle. So that's just my opinion. Those High Point carbines, I know High Point gets smacked a lot because of their pistols, because they're ugly looking, but those High Point carbines are really excellent. And a lot of times, especially if they're used, I've seen them, $150 sometimes for used, and that's a pistol caliber. They don't have a huge capacity when it comes to rounds, but you know, 9 millimeter, 45, 10 millimeter, different. That's the main different rounds that they shoot. Not too bad. I mean, if you got one in 10 millimeter, the ammo's a little pricey, but that 10 millimeter through a carbine that's going to be enough to put most people down that aren't all armored up. So shotguns are also great. I know there are some people out there that think shotguns time has come and passed, but I do not agree with that. I think, in fact, I have made several videos and on this type of subject, and I have said many times, and I stand by it. If you do not own a firearm and you're starting out today or tomorrow, and you're like, "Hey, I need to own a firearm. I don't really know anything about it, and I just need something right now that I know that I can defend my home with." A 12 gauge pump shotgun is that. You just cannot go wrong with a 12 gauge pump shotgun. You don't have to have any skill whatsoever to use it and to be effective with it. You need to understand the safety, but it's not that hard with a 12 gauge pump shotgun. So I think every home should have at least one. That's just my opinion. And don't say that, well, it's it kicks too much and stuff. There's different ammo so that you can, you know, eh, some of it's kick more punchier than others. My wife, she loves the 12 gauge pump shotgun. Like she that's in her mind, that's kind of what she would have as a primary weapon. People are saying the Remington 870 or the Mossberg 500, and those are excellent, but there are some cheaper ones out there that's um, showing some pretty good promises for quality. So H&R Partner Pump, I have one, and that's one of those ones that you just beat up and it still keeps shooting. So, because the H&R Partner Pump is basically is it a and Remington 870, I think, look alike. I think that's what it is. Sub 2000, that's a Keltec, that's a good truck gun. We also have a oh, what is it? I guess it's a Ruger PCC, a Ruger pistol caliber carbine. They're a little heavier, but still a good. It's their little pistol carbine that breaks down into two pieces. So there's a lot of um, there's a lot of stuff out there that you can still get pretty reasonably, and I would recommend. Um, there's a bill right now that was just introduced in, and I don't remember it, so please don't ask me the actual bill number, but there was a bill right now introduced by, I think, a bunch of senators, that they're calling it some kind of, I can't remember, something gun something, but basically it's a semi-automatic ban. And if it was to get passed, which I don't think it will, but if it does, it will pretty much outlaw the ownership of all semi-automatic rifles. So they're pushing it, and I would, um, I would definitely, if you do not have something to defend yourself with, I would certainly make sure you get one as soon as you can. AR is like the man's Barbie doll. Buy one in pieces and learn to build it. Yeah, that's and AR-15s are not complicated to build. So if you have even just a little bit of skills of building things or tools or anything like that, it's not hard to buy a parts kit, buy the upper and the lower and separate pieces, get you a stripped lower and put it all together. It's not hard at all. So, yeah, Ranger J says, "Good luck with that bill. Will not comply." I agree, but you know that Ranger J, that's exactly what they're hoping for. They're trying to push us. They would love, I believe it, a lot of these far lefties and Marxists and stuff. They would absolutely love to push the country into a civil war. They want that. I think that's my opinion. Best length for AR-15 for smaller female. Well, for a rifle, you can't have anything shorter than a 16-inch barrel. That if it's a rifle, it can't be anything um, shorter. And honestly, that's probably the best because the problem is with an AR-15, if it's a rifle chambered, so if it's say 5.56, the shorter the barrel, the more it can actually have recoil. So even though the firearm is lighter, a lot of people think, oh, it's a 10-inch barrel AR-15. It must be really easy to shoot versus a 16-inch barrel. That's actually not true. So it's lighter, so there's less weight of the firearm to absorb the recoil, and because the barrel is shorter, well, it flashes and it'll bounce a lot more, to put it simply. So, um, an AR-15s are not that heavy. You're talking usually around 7 pounds on average. I know there's some lighter, some heavier, but 7 pounds seems to be pretty average for an AR-15 rifle. And I I just I you really, if you're worried about that, that would probably be the best way to go, unless you're just wanting something really small. Apparently, my wife is telling me to see a question. One thing everyone should do this month to be better prepared. So I missed a super chat. I apologize for that. Apparently, I missed a super chat, and I am sorry. What one thing everyone should do this month to be more prepared? Well, let's see. Catch me off guard. Yeah, 6 pounds. Yeah, 6 to 7 pounds. Someone said 6 pounds. I said seven. You're probably about right. It's probably closer to 6 pounds on that. I would someone says wool socks. That's true. It depends on um what kind of budget a person would have. Um, Ammunition seems to have come down a little bit. It's certainly not down to the pre-Israel Hamas war prices, but it's come down a little bit. Um, Food is always one that you should be stocking up on, as far as like just stocking up on stuff. I think personally, which is kind of what I've been doing. I think especially going into winter months, you should look at your vehicle condition. Are your tires okay? What about, belts, oil changes, things like that, emergency kits that you would need with winter coming on. Um, you're more likely to break down because of the cold weather, and it's going to be worse for you. So I would definitely be going over your spare wheel bearings, because mine went out this past week, which I did. I got a new, because I used my spare wheel bearing and I got a new one in. So it came in today. But I would go over your vehicle safety and equipment to make sure that you're ready to get through the winter and hopefully not break down. Um, and then the other thing, it's wintertime. Um, Back in the old days, it used to be common that wintertime became the time of the year where families came in together and spent more time together. And I don't know if that's necessarily true anymore, but I think it's good to bring that back. And so as you're inside more and spending time with the family more because of the colder weather, work on building that stronger relationship with your family, because as things get worse, in the world, you don't want to go through it with a family that's so disconnected anymore. And I think that's been a big objective of all of this globalist, Marxist, liberal evilness, is to is to tear apart families. And I think that's been, the war on families. It's been pretty obvious. So take some time over the next coming weeks and months to rekindle the strength and relationship in your families, because next to your relationship with God the Father and His Son, Yeshua, there's not much more important in this world than your relationship with your spouse and your children. So be working on that. All right, folks, it's about time to get off of here. Oh, the Naked Savage Show. Thank you for that $5 tip there, or whatever we call those, the super chat things. Upgrade winter clothing. That's true. So a lot of people said socks. My wife picked me up a couple of pair of socks the other day. They were on some clearance rack. They're not the real thick winter socks. They're just kind of regular, but they're wool. And I've got to check the brand of them because I want to get some more. Those were about the softest. I wore them this week. They're really comfortable. And I don't know the brand, but she was somewhere and they were on clearance and she grabbed them. So I like them. But yes, wool. I've been little by little trying to switch. Well, my wife and we've been trying to switch a lot of our clothing, especially like underclothing, over to all natural fibers. Like wool and linen and cotton and things like that. So, and wool, a lot of people think that wool, because it's warm weather stuff, that you can't wear it in the summertime. You can wear wool in the summertime too, for socks. So, my wife says she picked them up at Aldi. I didn't know Aldi sold socks. Learn something new all the time, but they're really good. Yeah, wool wicks moisture away. They may be merino wool. I don't know what kind of wool they are. I know she just told me she picked me up some wool socks on clearance somewhere, and I put them on. I was like, man, these things are like really soft and comfortable. So, yeah, make sure you have some wool socks, and you should keep that kind of stuff in your vehicle. You should keep some insulated, waterproof boots in your vehicle. You should keep at least one pair of socks in your vehicle extra. You should keep a jacket and some rain gear in your vehicle, and then have some kind of emergency kit, which I am working on a video. I'm planning in my head, working on a video to cover a lot of this stuff for the winter, because you want to make sure you have that kind of nailed down. Thank you, Sherry and Ray, for that. That's a very good blessing there. Thank you very much. So I would, again, I know some of you are already dealing with winter. I'm sure that some of you are already seeing snow on the ground and all that kind of stuff. But for the most of the country, we've still got a little bit of time before winter really, really kicks in. And I would definitely go over your vehicle emergency stuff. If you get stuck, if you slide off the road in a ditch because of snow or ice, what do you have in your vehicle to keep you going, whether you have to leave the vehicle or stay there? And a lot of people don't think about that anymore. They don't. So make sure you go over your emergency kit in your vehicle, because winter's coming on. 60s all next week in Tulsa. We're supposed to, I think tomorrow or the next day, have a little bit of a warm up again. It's just been back and forth. We'll have 2 or 3 days of cold and 2 or 3 days of warm, but that's the time of the year it is here. So, all right, folks, I think I'm going to get off of here. 3D printer, someone said over in Rumble, is a good thing to have for over the next month. I wish, yeah, a 3D printer would be nice. All right, I am gonna get off of here for the night. Keep candles in your car. Yeah, because a few candles in your car will keep it pretty warm. You keep all the windows rolled up, and you don't have to worry about fumes and stuff if you have like a propane heater. So candles in your car are actually a really good idea. All right, folks. Thank you tonight. Thank you, Jason Casper, and all of you others that's been so generous, and for all of the questions. Wool leggings. I don't wear wool leggings, but I tell you, I'll give you a secret. The union suits, the long john. I don't like wearing the 2-piece long johns anymore. I like the union suits, and they make one in a merino wool. And I'm telling you, you put that thing on and you'll be warm all winter long. You can go ahead and laugh at me too. yeah, I think Pinball's getting ready to start his live stream. I think it starts at 8 tonight. So something like that. All right, folks. Thank you all for watching tonight, and I will catch you all in the next video, probably tomorrow morning. Have a good evening.